I think before, for the most part, no, the T word really wasn't brought up too much, right?
Supply chain needs to be understood. What are they selling? Where to are they importing from, and where are they shipping to? Which countries? So you need to do a geography analysis.
Has the person who's selling the business actually, are they increased prices? Have they distributed? How have they figured that out? Hello, my name is Paul Long, Vice President SBA Lending at Giza Credit Union. Love helping buyers get into buying businesses with an SBA loan. And I am joined by broker extraordinaire,
Seth Rudin from International Business Associates, or IBA. I'm a senior M&A broker helping owners exit their business. And glad to have me back.
Absolutely, and you do a really good job of doing that.
Thank you.
Absolutely. So we are a banker and a broker, and we are talking about some of the things that you need to know when you are buying and selling your business. Of course, you can use these videos all you want, but you got to hire someone really smart like this guy, because there's a lot more upstairs than all these videos, right?
And the same with the banking over here.
Yeah.
He's being modest.
Well, hey, in this video, we are going to talk about dealing with tariffs in a mergers and acquisition sale. And, I think before, for the most part, the T word really wasn't brought up too much, right? And then all of a sudden, it's a pretty hot topic now, depending on what kind of industry you're in. Very important. So, Seth, tell us a little bit about, tariff exposure.
Sure. So tariffs will be prominent in companies that are distributing product or buying product or manufacturing. So the supply chain needs to be understood. What are they selling? Where to are they importing from, and where are they shipping to? Which countries? So you need to do a geography analysis and flag the ones that either have a current tariff, a retaliatory tariff, or a proposed tariff. And then you need to come up with a plan and saying, hey, does that financial plan, my modeling, account for those tariffs, and what does that look like on my projected cash flows? And if it still meets your thesis, great. Mm-hmm. And then the second question that you can work with your owners, that we're going to talk about in a little bit, is how do you restructure and build mitigating plans around it?
Absolutely. And I think having, proper due diligence is the main key on this, for sure. Looking at those, supplier contracts and making sure that, what's in those. That's why you should have an attorney, as we've mentioned in multiple previous episodes, to have that. And really evaluate the historical tariff impact, on your margins and customer retention. But one piece I really want to kind of look on this is the historical tariffs. Well, we didn't have that many tariffs historically. I mean, there are, but not as many as there is today. So, has the person who's selling the business actually, have they increased prices? Have they distributed? How have they figured that out? And that's going to be a key thing, again, like you said.
You bring up a good point. I do think tariffs existed, but I think Trump really brought it to the forefront and made it more widespread.
Sure.
And second, you talked about prices, right? So when was the last time that the company raise prices? Is there an opportunity here to pass that on to the customer?
That's right.
How sensitive is the market? Is it an elastic business that we're talking about, so it doesn't matter, they're going to have to incur it? Or it's so competitive and elastic that any one penny would drive a customer somewhere else?
That's a good point. And there's multiple ways on doing that, right? You can either increase your prices on the item, which I see. I was buying something the other day, and all of a sudden I get to the final thing, and it says tariff fee right above taxes, and I'm like, well, I guess that's another way to do it. But again, how are you making it work?
Exactly.
That's an important piece on there. So, on these M&A deals, Seth, how do you kind of adjust the deal structure when you start seeing a lot of the stuff on tariffs?
Yeah, so once I've accounted for, hey, there is tariffs here,
right?
And I come up with a plan with the owner and the buyer, right? Hey, can we shift product eventually, from, say, China to the United States? Right. I need your timed knowledge of the supply chain to do that, Mr. Seller. So can you stay on and help me achieve that goal, whether it's prior to the sale or post-sale transaction? That's usually the biggest one. And then is there an alternative supply chain that's available, to us? Unfortunately, last year earlier in 2025, I was working on a deal in the glass space, and glass typically just comes from China.
That's right.
And so our client, the buyer, got nervous because of all the taxes before they came to a negotiation table, and that deal got put on hold until further notice because they couldn't get past the tariffs. And it was a good, high-quality buyer with a great company that we were trying to sell, and that one will return to the market at some point.
Well, but you could have sold earlier.
Exactly. What about other strategies you see from your perspective?
And I think, you did a really good job explaining it too about, restructuring your supply chain and having that diversity and trying to figure out how to move things along into different countries and such, right? What's the pre-close inventory buildup? How do you hedge against those? Do you all of a sudden, if some new tariffs are coming down, do you hurry up and do some mass orders? I mean, my gosh, that's really happened. I know that I've seen on there. It's they want a lot more money for inventory because they know a tariff's coming around, and that's another way to do it too. So,
and as you mentioned earlier in our discussion, we were talking about on the contract side, even though we're not attorneys,
right?
If they had tariffs that they incurred but didn't pay, there needs to be some reps and warranties or some type of protection.
No liability there, is there? Yeah. So definitely when it comes to tariffs and M&A sales, again, making sure, you're working with a good business broker on the seller side, as well as making sure that you have an attorney on your side. That's going to be very, very important on there. So again, make sure to check out some of our other videos that we have here on YouTube, and we would love to see you on another video. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Thanks, Bob.